Hello, Contrarians listeners and Contrarians watchers. Anybody that happened to stumble into our anniversary video. This is the Embries 2023. And if somehow you found yourself here without having ever listened to the show and you're wondering what the hell the Embries are, man, it would take us too long to explain the
years
full
and
thing.
years of context are needed.
Yeah. So if you want, we have an award ceremony every year to commemorate the movies that we've covered on the podcast, and we give out awards for good and bad stuff, and the Embries are the good ones. Anyway, this is not that. This is the video. This is the warm up video. So in this one, we're gonna do just 4 categories for awards that we don't give out on the main show. For again, the movies that are eligible are the movies that we covered in the past year, so since November 2022 until now. There's 35 of them altogether. If you want the full list, you can check our website or you can listen to the episode where we list them all. But right now, well, you're going to find out as we mention them. 4 categories are Best Kiss, Best Fight, Best Musical Number, and Best On-Screen Duo. Very MTV Movie Awards. I don't even know if they still do that, Alex, but
I don't either.
Back in our heyday,
yeah,
they did.
I dressed up for the occasion, and I got my indoor sunglasses like Sam Worthington, and then you just really under-celebrate it.
What are you talking about?
Just still wore a suit.
This is festive.
That is MTV Movie Awards garb right there. You're just missing like that one year Jim Carrey showed up with a huge beard and long hair.
I wouldn't be able to. I can't pull a beard like you pull a beard, but no. I was kind of like crunched for time, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do the dressing fancy, it's gonna add another 30 minutes to the start time, and we can't do that. So instead, I'm gonna be like extra casual.
It's a good one. It's a good shirt. You look like you'd be the host, and it'd be like a beach theme.
Yes, but don't worry, no monologues here. We're gonna get straight down to business. If you like this, then man, there's gonna be a full episode of awards on our main show. That's what closes October for us. Man, for the past 8 years, I think, that we've been doing this. But it's only the second time that we've done it on video. All right, well, let's get started.
Starting back in 1992, the original winners were Pulumsky and Macaulay Culkin for My Girl.
Oh,
and I don't know what Outer Banks is, but that won this year. If we take it back to more of my heyday, Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore for The Wedding Singer, Will Smith and Vivica A. Fox for Independence Day, Jim Carrey and Lauren Holly, Dumb and Dumber, and of course Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst for Spider-Man, which is one of the most famous movie kisses of our lifetime, Julio, and also led to that unbelievable joke in Tropic Thunder about Tobey Maguire's award credentials. So for these, I mean, we didn't do too many highly romantic movies this year.
That was my takeaway as well. Okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me. I'm like, am I missing something? I was going through them and...
Yeah, I didn't want to, especially these. I definitely overthought some of the ones we'll get into in the main episode, but I just kind of went straight off the cuff with these. And the best kiss, I mean, it's Wesley and Buttercup from Princess Bride at the end when they end up together. That's by, the measurement of 2 attractive people kissing, a romantic story working, being the right conclusion to the movie, or it's what the movie calls for at that particular moment. I didn't really need to think much further than that.
Yeah, it's funny because on the main show, we have an award for most memorable sex scene. And man, the nominees for that is just like almost every movie we covered. But for this, it was actually, I have Princess Bride on my short list. I was struggling when I considered putting the commitments there, because there is like the running joke about the older guy Fagin hooking up with the young girls, and there's that one scene where they walk in on him making out with one of them, and I was like, I mean, that is kind of it's a kiss. But Alex, I'm gonna go a different way, and it's not a movie that we particularly enjoyed, although I defended it a little bit. But this might be the one thing that's worth it in the entire movie, and that is Alan Grant. What's his name in real life? Sam Neill. Finally kissing Laura Dern after surviving 2.5 hours of a mediocre dinosaur movie. That was the prize at the end for him. And
mediocre is being generous.
It has its moments. Listen to the episode. But yeah, I'm down for some. What's this? Ellie Sadler. That's the name of her character. So Dr. Grant, Dr. Sadler. you earned it. That's what else can we say? So that takes us away from Kiss and into a musical number. And now we have a packed category. I think that what we lost in romance this year, among our movies that we covered, we gain in musicality, because I felt that there were not just like the usual somebody breaks into song and dance, but also just musically, there's something that I consider that's just a dance. So I'm curious. I'm narrowing down to like 2 runners up and 1 winner, and I wonder if you're gonna pick up different one. But I'm gonna go with the ones that I know you won't pick up. So,
okay.
Speaking of the commitments, one of my runner-ups is that's they sing through the entire movie, but the song that they start singing on the bus is like the kid, their leader, their manager, just gave them the whole speech about what soul really means and why soul is important to the working class, and that speech is like sinking in, and then one of them, well, there's a song playing in the background that is not playing in the movie, right? It's just like the score, like the soundtrack. But then one of the characters starts singing along that song, and then everybody else in the bus slowly joins in, and then just that shoots us into a montage that
you made the dubious claim that it was the original Almost Famous bus ride scene.
Well, I mean, there's definitely, they're related. Maybe they're distant cousins.
No.
You know? The song they're singing is "Destination Anywhere," which is obviously a cover. I don't know what a cover. I wrote "performed by the Commitments." I'm sure because it is performed by them. It's not like they're lip syncing. So, but that's not my pick. Also, again, I know that I'm the one that's gonna come to bat for this one. You wouldn't, but from Grease 2, which has a lot of memorable songs. If you listen to the episode, arguably some of them more memorable than the songs in the original Grease. But in this case, "Prowling" is the song that the T-Birds sing. It starts with, it sounds like they're recounting they're gonna go on a night of debauchery, and then by the end of the song, you realize that all they were doing was rehearsing for the talent show that happens at the end of the movie, and that is pretty funny. And the song is, I love it. I've been
not reproduction.
There's a lot of candidates, but if I have to pick just one from Grease 2, it has to be "Prowling." It's a lot of fun to sing along. I've been playing it in my car ever since we did the episode. I can't hit the notes that what's his name, Zumed, the main guy, the main T-Bird. He's great, and he's he's yowling as he sings "Prowling." It's a fun song, but that's not getting the prize. What's getting the prize, Alex?
Adrian Zemed.
Adrian Zemed. Maybe my favorite part of Grease 2. What's getting the prize is a movie that's actually a lot more beloved than Grease 2, and that is my favorite part of the movie. I think it's the and this new rewatch that we did for the show is the thing that convinced me that this was a 5-star movie, and that is when Nicholas Hoult, speaking of talent shows, starts singing "Killing Me Softly," and Hugh Grant joins him on stage with his guitar, and they do a duet, and they kill it. For about a minute, they kill it, and then Hugh Grant gets too much into it and ruins it. But it's great. It's at first it's heartbreaking, then it's funny, then you're like, "Fuck yeah," and then it's funny again. So I'm giving that award, the Embry for Best Musical Number, to Hugh Grant and Nicholas Hoult for "Killing Me Softly" in About a Boy.
Very well. Start with the asterisk that the movies we covered this year on Patreon are not eligible. Had they been, all these things that I have done, musical number from Southland Tales would have easily taken this from me. I don't know. Musical number, I just took that as like characters singing. Because if we're just doing something synced to like a song, I'd probably give that to Warrior for the conclusion, the About Today by The National, because that's incredibly powerful.
If they were dancing as they're stepping off the ring, I would give it to you.
And then in Burning, our female lead dances, but if I recall correctly, there's no music, right? She's just stoned and dancing.
No, I think there's, well, I mean, there's no music playing in the movie, like in the story, but I think that
Yes.
there's score
Yeah.
behind her.
Okay.
So yeah.
As we learn in that, Stephen Wynn has some really shitty weed, but these guys don't know what it's like to be high, so they just go for it. So yeah, honestly, to me, there weren't that many outstanding candidates because
What? I have like 5 more on my list.
yeah, I didn't like Grease 2 and some of the other movies you brought up.
Mhm.
I didn't really care for. But while I didn't like The Commitments as much as you did, that's what I gave it to for the closing musical number when they play Hard to Handle at the club like that after the I can't remember the musician who's supposed to show up and assist them and like
Mhm.
bolster their profile, so to speak, and then they just kind of kill it on their own. And like I mentioned in that episode, they play Hard to Handle like 5 times and it kind of gets repetitive. But that song in the key of the Black Crows is quite the banger. So that's honestly immediately what came to mind for me because that from all the movies we did with musical numbers in it, that's like the most triumphant and the most for all the things I did not like about that movie or didn't dislike it. It didn't work for me in the same way it did others. It sticks the landing in the sense of like everything clicks and they have the triumphant performance together, and then of course it all falls apart right afterwards. But it's a good moment that comes at the end of the movie.
Alex, this was the one category where I thought Vikram was going to get some love, and man, neither
Sorry.
of us brought it up.
Well, we have been spoiled with the Singhams and Suryavanshis of the
Yes,
world.
yeah. It's Brandon's fault. All right, well, kick it back to you. Best fight.
As I'm prone to do, I always bring up fights, both real and fixed, and find analogies to make in the episodes that we do. We had a pretty good crop of them. Riders of Justice, there's some pretty fantastic fight sequences in that. 12 Monkeys, there's some fights in that, pretty brutal, some
Bruce
sad.
Willis brutally murdering 2 drug dealers, were they?
Yeah,
Attempted rapists? Yeah.
yeah. Jaws, you have a Jaws the Revenge, you have a shark that roars. So, and Four Brothers, of course, is just chock full of fun violence. It's a good time at the movies. And Dawn of the Dead, which was, recency bias. We had that, and I wanted to put Ken Faree crane kicking a zombie in here, but this should come as no surprise to anyone who actually listened to the episode. My award for best fight sequence that we watched this past year goes to the James Wan directed sequence in the 2007 film Death Sentence. That the parking garage sequence with Kevin Bacon and the crew, the slew of bad guys, in which it's one consecutive shot spanning several levels of a parking garage where he's grappling with some. He ends up killing a couple of them. He hides in a trunk when they start rolling in, and he pushes one over the edge in a car. And it's just this really, it's awesome. I'm very high on that movie, but that sequence was just like, having seen it before and watching it again. James Wan obviously is a guy with an eye for, extravagant violent set pieces like that, and that one was just tremendous. I would recommend seeing that movie based on that scene alone.
Here I was nodding along, thinking I knew what you were going to say, to the point where I had just moved Warrior out of contention because I was like, that's Alex's pick. So I'm not
Oh,
gonna.
dude, I told you, like, as much as I love that movie, like, guys are doing like pro wrestling power bombs and shit in that movie. It's
But the emotion is there,
all the
Alex.
emotion in the last fight is, and then I talked about like the way Joel Edgerton does a knee bar in that. I've never seen ever in a professional fight of any sort. So I had to go to the even more extreme and fictional, and that being Kevin Bacon kicking the ass of all these dudes in their 20s.
Like if we're not gonna take this seriously, then let's not take it seriously.
We're gonna take it all the
Seriously.
way,
Yes.
seriously.
Yeah. All right. Well, no Warrior for me either. I mean, I just assumed you were gonna take it. Just a couple of like shout outs that I agree. Four Brothers has a lot of like cool fights, but nothing comes close to the final fight of Mark Wahlberg versus Chewie,
Oh
which
God,
starts with Mark Wahlberg just having that walk.
being airdropped into the middle of nowhere in the frozen lakes of Canada.
Yeah, Chewie, he doesn't lose his confidence. He gets a few licks in and then eventually succumbs. Just for funsies, I want to shout out Kirk versus Spock in Star Trek when they where they have that fight that finally causes Spock to snap, and then he recuses himself from power. He steps down.
That's right.
That doesn't last too long, but it's pretty brutal. And if Spock hadn't regained his senses, I mean, he probably could have snapped Kirk's neck, and Kirk would have deserved it. There, I said it. But I'm going to go with a classic, Alex, and that is, you went with the classic for the kiss. I'm going with the classic for the fight, the sword fight between Inigo Montoya and Count Rugen at the end of Princess Bride. I gushed about that sequence at length in the episode, so I'm not gonna redo it here, but it's awesome. If you haven't seen The Princess Bride, you should. It's one of the coolest moments in the movie. It pays off something that gets set up very early in the movie and that you're just eager to see happen. You're like, I want to see Inigo get his revenge, and he does, and it's awesome. So that one gets the Embry for me. And now we get to the final category. So, Alex, what I did here in order, because we've had some pretty awesome ensembles, and I'm like, okay, no, it's duo, not ensembles. So automatically, like the cast of Riders of Justice, I just pushed them aside, like I pushed aside Warrior during the fight category. So to me, it has to be two characters that spend most of the movie together, or that when they're together in the movie, they're so memorable. They're like, that's the duo. So, for example, Harry Dean Stanton and Tasha Kinski, and Paris, Texas, they only have two scenes together, but those two scenes are the ones that you walk away with, they're just branded in your heart. If you like the movie, if you found it boring, obviously you're like, fuck this, but we were very much into it. And they're brutal, they're very emotional, and they're acted perfectly. So they're partly responsible for us eventually watching Terminal Velocity on a different podcast, just because I wanted more Natasha Kinski. And then I'm gonna give it to I'm gonna have one more duo that gets a shout out but not the award, and it's somebody that also we could have maybe shouted out for musical performance, and that's Michael Fassbender and son of Gleason, Domhnall Gleeson, and Frank.
That's a good one.
That they, they're part of the movie's ensemble, but eventually, it's really them, their relationship that we follow all the way through, and they have that musical number where they they're supposed to perform together, and then Fassbender has a meltdown. But
he does his ablutions.
Yes,
you do my ablutions.
I'm gonna give the award though to something.
I know where this is going. I think I do.
No, you don't.
Okay, all right.
Because you wouldn't have that reaction. It's actually pretty obvious, but I found it inescapable, and that is Fred McMurray and Edward G. Robinson and Double Indemnity. Not the couple in the movie, but really the couple in the movie.
They kill it.
Yeah, that's the real relationship, and they close the movie. That's really powerful. If you haven't seen Double Indemnity, that's all I'm going to say. But also, because you're not me or Alex, you've probably seen Double Indemnity, and you're like just nodding along. But they get it. They get a special black and white Embry to take home.
The popcorn is, the bucket's unsalted, like gray, and it's just very unbuttered, very bland. Yeah. Yes, that was one that came to mind for me. Zachary Quinto and Chris Pine, and then like somehow factoring in Zoe Saldana in that, because like the three of them have like a really good relationship on screen going. And Paris, Texas seemed a bit too obvious for me. Princess Bride, again, is like a trifecta, so it's kind of hard to balance out. We mentioned Double Indemnity, Four Brothers is too much. I really thought you were going to say Nicholas Hoult and Hugh Grant, and I was going to be...
I wrote it down, but I'm like, they already got an award. They can sit this one out.
They can take a back seat. Y'all kind of like accosted me when we did our episode on Waitress because I didn't like it as much as y'all. They don't get the award, but Kerry Russell and Nathan Fillion also get props, because specifically that scene where her water breaks when they're going to like they're about to run away together, right? And they're both great in that. But it's funny because the immediate first thing you said was Riders of Justice was disqualified on your list, because as much as that is an ensemble cast, Mads Mikkelsen and Nicolas Lee Kaas are picking it up for me because of the one scene that they have. Like, all those guys interact together, but the one scene they have, which I think we gave every Oscar nomination possible, is when Otto's, of course, telling him about the drunken driving accident he had that took the life of his daughter. And Mads is lashing out because he's not protecting his daughter correctly, and they have just this incredible emotional scene where they both kind of, Mads more than Otto, but they both learn through each other's life experiences kind of like where they're failing. And it kind of seems throughout the rest of the movie too, even though pretty much right after that it's just like bloodletting.
Yep.
It's there's like something between them. I think even like Christmas they kind of like exchange like a nod or something. But yes, that is a very ensemble heavy movie, but it's Otto that brings it, the whole notion of this to what's Mads' name in it? Marcus. He brings it to him in the first place. And he through Otto gets to learn the other guys, and it's always the two of them with like the other paths that you can take with Emmenthaler and I forget the other gentleman's name, but honestly, when the way I did this is when I thought of best duo, what to me was like the most impactful scene featuring two people interacting with each other that we watched over the past year, and that's immediately what came to mind. So Riders of Justice will not be the last award it gets, so be sure that you tune into the live broadcast. This is just the YouTube pre-show.
Yeah, you don't have to play by my rules,
presented by Boost Mobile. What's that?
I said you don't have to play by my rules, Alex. You can just take the award and split it 4 ways if that's really how you feel. But I just need to find a way to like weed some of these out, because I was also considering, is it Otto, the other one?
It's Otto, and then there's Emmenthaler and Leonard. That was his name.
Leonard. Okay, yeah. So it was okay. So I was considering Otto and Leonard also as a duo, because they they start the movie together. So I was like, maybe
scratching his back.
Yes. I'm honestly surprised that you didn't give it to Nick Nolte and Tom Hardy, because that was something else that came up. I was like, no, that's an Alex pick. I'm gonna leave.
Well, all right. So we'll get into this in the main episode, but just kind of like as the teaser, like there was a couple movies I didn't disqualify, but I kind of just pushed to the back burner because, like, in the spirit of what we're doing, giving this to Ray Liotta and Robert De Niro for Goodfellas would just be like, there's no what does Oscar say in The Office? There's no theater in that. So
well, but also see, that's why I was like, oh no, that's a trio. That's Liotta, De Niro, and Pesci.
Oh so, yeah, I agree. I was trying to think of an example, but yeah, like Nick Nolte was nominated for an Oscar for that, and like Tom Hardy. I mean, we glow enough about him that episode, but that's also like, I mean, if we're going on the Rotten Tomatoes scoring system, I think Riders of Justice is higher, but I guarantee if you and I go on the street and talk to 100 people, a lot of them aren't going to know what we're talking about.
There you go. I'm curious, who has seen which movie is the most popular among our listeners, Double Indemnity or Riders of Justice? It could go either way. I mean,
films.
Yes. Hopefully, if you've seen them, you like them. But all right, so that closes the pre-festivities, and from here on, I'm gonna take this ridiculous shirt off and wear something more comfortable.
Still 90 degrees here in Austin. I need to take this fucking blazer off, but I gotta look good for the award show. So, at this point, I look like your security detail.
I look like I'm about to just go eat some barbecue. I don't know. But this is it. We're going to go record the actual award ceremony, the Embries, and then we're going to record the Patronis, which is the special award ceremony for the stuff we cover on Patreon. It's a big night of recording and celebration here in Contrarians headquarters, and hopefully you get to listen to all that stuff too. So thank you for watching this. A lot of cool stuff coming on our next year. This is, we're celebrating 9 years now. So the road to the 10th anniversary is going to be pretty cool. And do we know which movie? Oh, yeah. So after this, what we're doing next is we're paying off our Livestream for the Cure debt. Yeah, I think Original Sin is up next. You'll find out. But anyway.
I've got the DVD if you need to borrow it.
Thank you for watching.
The time code marked at a certain point.
There's like a scratch.
The magic marker. Yeah.
Yeah. But, anyway,
take us home, host.
I'm just taking us to the next thing. So hopefully you watch this and then you go straight into listening to the Embries. But thank you for all your support, and we'll talk to you again soon.